Now, to start the video, well done to Chelsea, to Pochettino for making their statements on Gallagher not being a racist. It's incredible that this clip here that everybody hasn't seen of Raheem Sterling doing exactly the same thing, is he racist? No, he's not. Is Gallagher racist? No, he's not. They're players that are mentally locked in for a game pre-kickoff, focused, and have accidentally ignored a mascot. I believe we did ignore a mascot against Liverpool at Anfield. He was white. Does that mean the whole team is racist for not walking him off the pitch? No, it is an error. It is a mistake. Why must our fan base run such insane? I'm not even going to call it a narrative. It's worse than that. It's basically defamation of character. So it's not going to help the team, not going to help the performances, just going to mentally fatigue the player and send him into a spiral of mental frenzy, because now his name is tarnished, at least for the time being, until the statement came out. So yeah, let's not do that. Idiots, to people who did, and to people who didn't and actually used their brains, good on you. On with the video. Yo people, welcome back to the YouTube channel. You already know what time it is. It's time for another video. Big up your damn selves in the building. Make sure you smash up the likes every single damn time and subscribe if you are new. Chelsea versus Manchester United preview. Check out the collab with Flex if you haven't already. Of course, this is the solo preview. We'll give my thoughts on the game upcoming. It's a game that's fallen far. This used to be a high stakes game, high pressure game, high quality game. It's now become a little bit of a sob story. However, what I want to start with is apologies, because you guys, we have a great relationship. You guys hold me accountable. You guys check me if I have to be checked. And one thing I've got to make sure that I continue and I need to go back to is absolutely under no circumstances, regardless of my views on the manager and his situation and his performance, can I allow myself to get wrapped up in misquoting or misrepresentation of what he says in press conferences, because people will take clips and take quotes and they won't show the full context, and we have to do better. And I'm glad that you guys mentioned it with the Cole Palmer kind of one-man band type quote, because it was clearly a reflection on the team relying upon their best player, their best attacker to get them out of jail, leaning on his kind of qualities over the manager leaning on him tactically and having no other plan. And I'm glad you guys mentioned it, because he's been misquoted, I guess, again, or not misquoted, but misrepresented, because he's spoken about running off the ball in this match and the fact that in Burnley, we didn't show enough work off the ball. And that is the only quote that is shown on many sites, including Fabrizio's on his page on Twitter. However, if you watch the press conference, he did speak on the ball, Real Madrid, what they do on the ball, the quality that they show on the ball that we also need to show. So wasn't just trying to put out this running kind of philosophy of just wanting to just chase shadows and wanting to put in passion and desire. And just because we are not happy with the manager, and when I say we, I mean me, it doesn't mean that we now don't actually thoroughly try to understand what he's saying and the context of what's behind his words. And also, you've pointed out that it is his second language, and maybe because we're so comfortable with him being in England, we forget it is his second language, but that is also going to play a part in how it's delivered and what is said, so, and what his actual meanings are. Now, I do believe that he's kind of pulling in three directions. I think he's got a young group of sensitive players, which he mentioned in the match, in the press conference, that he's got sensitive players, young players, new generation. He's got to look after them in a different way that you would look after players in the early 2000s. He's also got the board that he's pulling because, of course, they're his employers, and he's not going to ruffle any feathers there. It's not his character. We saw that with Daniel Levy, with the lack of money spent over the stadium move and everything. Never pulled up any trees. And of course, then he's trying to appease the fans. So he's pulling in different directions. It's led to some inconsistencies. But I also, as I said, the club have to be held accountable. As I said, the manager, as I said, the players, I also have to hold myself accountable. And you are holding me accountable. So I appreciate that. So this was a great press conference. This was a really, really good press conference. I thought it was very to the point. I thought it was very clear, very concise about Chelsea and the standards. This quote here, he says, "We are Chelsea, but we need to behave like Chelsea if we want to belong to a big club. It's not an excuse to be young or experienced," which is very important because, of course, young and experienced players have been underperforming. We need to behave because in the end, we need to defend our badge and play for our club. I thought that was a perfect quote. Couldn't have said it better. Like many have said, it's not just the young players. In fact, the young players have been our best players. The older players, the Sterlings. I mean, Chilwell's been injured so often, but there's many, the Sassy, Samaras, Badiashile, these are more experienced players, Sanchez, and they're not performing either. So it is not just about age. And this is why the intangibles of leadership and quality also is very important when you're going for those experienced players, not just the age and that's it. That's not going to fix things. He also goes on to say, in another quote, what you say is important. Never be in the comfort zone. If you are in the comfort zone, you drop your level, you drop your standards. I don't say that happened here because too many other things happened. And he's obviously alluding to the injuries. He's alluding to the injuries is a massive part of it. Of course, he's alluding to. He's also alluding to, I think, the natural inconsistency that youngsters will show. So they are going to drop and dip and flow with their level, and they're. I mean, you'd want the standards to stay the same, but obviously that comes from seniority, that comes from experienced players guiding young players, which we don't have much of. So that's also part of that context that I think he's speaking on. But that is one of the things that we are aware of when you mix this a little bit, a small percentage, easy life, easy that. Then what you put it all together, it's not easy. The demand is to win. It's completely different. To prepare yourself to win every single game, you need to have experience, to be mature, to know yourself and the people around you. Why are you in a process to build something? Listen, this quote here that I'm going to read out next, this is music to my ears because I've called for balanced recruitment. And it's not even, like you said, it's not even just about the age. There's young players like Declan Rice, etc., who have leadership qualities, who have experience. And you've seen that at Arsenal. He's just been able to go in there and be a mainstay and be one of the leading figures in that team because he's played 3-4 Premier League seasons on the trot. This next quote was probably my favourite. It's a combination of mentality, heart and talent. That is the combination we need to push on them to get to the real level or get to their real level. If not, we will turn to our mature players between 26 and 34 that we already know can perform. What does this mean? Potential, right? So we go on to this now. We need to assess the players we have today and how we can help them, but to what level? Potential teams, potential players, potential coaches, potential. We need to win today. No, we need to win today. And this is the thing. The whole club has been extremism, has been built on potential. The sporting directors, their potential. The players, their potential. Just potential everywhere. And there's nobody to actually set levels on a consistent basis, week in, week out, in their prime. I'm not even bringing Thiago Silva into this because that man is 39. He is not expected, he should not be expected to be consistent. Who at this age, any Premier League great, was consistent week in, week out? Go to our legends, go to our Lampards, our Terrys, our Drogbas. None of them were playing in the league at this age, not even close. So that is not a reason. That is not a kind of like, oh, well then why don't he play? He's not the answer either. Honest to God, he's not the answer. Great player, generational, footballing great, but he is not the answer. He is meant to be in the last stages of his career. We've got no players in their prime handling business on a consistent basis. And the couple of players that we do have that could have been those players are injury prone and don't stay fit. So it's a problem. Now, on team news, Chilwell is going to miss the match due to illness. Carney Chukwuemeka is back in training. It's been hinted that he could be on the bench. In my team, he will be on the bench. I don't bring players back straight into the 11. I don't care how excited I would be to see him it's just a risk not worth taking. Reece James is back training individually, I believe. When I was at Cobham last week, he was training individually. So I do believe that is the case still. He will not be... listen, for me, on the injuries, as it is in the scroll bar, Carney Chukwuemeka, I will exclude from this. But everybody else, Nkuku, Lavia, Fofana, of course, Okechukwu and Reece James. All of these players, for me, rule them out to the end of the season. Just rule them out till next season. Those players, I don't even want to see them until pre-season. I don't want to see these players rushed back. I don't want to see these players on match day 36. They've been out for so long. There's been such a lack of clarity around them. At this point, just come out and rule them all out until the end of the season, and we can move on. Now, the one thing that I disagree with Pochettino on the run-in situation is obviously we did play Enzo after the international break when he arrived late. So I was quite shocked to see him start that game, and he obviously played the whole game. Now, this is where I go back to Andre Santos and at January. Letting him go on loan and bringing back Cassidy, who was actually doing okay at Leicester and starting to improve, that was a missight. That was a poor decision, because if you look at the profile of Andre Santos, the fact that he's press resistant, the fact that in pre-season we saw that he could play from the first phase, help us link up things and progress the ball, the fact that he has the energy, obviously. Cassidy's not the same type of midfielder. He, for me, is a midfielder is a striker masquerading as a midfielder almost. His final third play, his headed goals is kind of what people look to. Box to box, maybe, but not the same as Andre Santos, who has played more minutes in terms of the fact that he's more experienced at a first team level when we signed him, whereas Cassidy was in the under-21s at Inter. I just personally believe that Santos, and I said it in January before the Preston game, he has to stay. We knew Lavia was injury. We knew that Okechukwu had injury issues. If we had just kept this guy, then you would be able to use him in that midfield, and Enzo would not have to be doing up crazy shifts and not giving you that energy and not giving you those legs. And it's maybe time to evaluate. I mean, for me, I've already started to do it. But is some of these players suited to the hustle and bustle that you wish to implement? Can you turn Enzo into a Liverpool-type midfielder that does the back and forth, the rock and roll? Because that's the type of football we're playing. And don't get me wrong, we've scored more goals because of it. We've got more goals this season because of that quick, fast, direct football. And I see it's fun to watch. There's some tweaks to be made, but it's more enjoyable than, I guess, for many fans, the slower, more methodical way of playing. But that slower, methodical way of playing allowed us to defend better, because not only did we have more possession, but we were also able to not have to defend in transition constantly, and we were able to keep gaps a lot closer. We were able to be more compact. So it's a trade-off. Better attacking, worse defensively. But the problem with the recruitment here is that they haven't recruited for you specifically. They've recruited on a broader, more football manager broad basis, which is they're talented, they're here. They're not for you specifically. Hence why Gallagher is up for sale in the summer. Again, not for you. This is not your team. And you are going to either have to adapt your way of playing and your philosophy and your identity, or you better fix this. You better find a way to make this team play in your way. But you can't change their DNA. You can't change their physicality. You could try, put them in the gym, I don't know, but I don't think Enzo can play that way. I don't think these players, a lot of them, can play the way that you're asking them to, which is why they'll gas out earlier, which is why they'll get tired quickly, which is why it looks like they don't try, or it looks like they don't run as much as you want them to, because they're just not those type of players. Some players are not suited to that. So it's a problem. It's a clash of identities, and I don't see it ending anytime soon. He did confirm that Chilwell will miss the match due to illness. And like I said on the other players, at this point, it's do or die. Now, it's a madness. There has been talk about Chelsea looking into medical, figures to come in and to try and reshuffle and shape this medical situation that we have, this medical team, and sort out the injuries. But I personally don't see the benefits of this until next season. I think the medical team that come in are going to have to assess each player individually, their previous injuries, what got them to this stage, what is going to be best for their recuperation and rehabilitation. It's going to take time. Medical team, when they come in on medical figure, it's not just going to happen overnight. It's going to happen over months. So as they get to know the players, pre-season, hopefully we can align it to the players' problems. Hopefully that aligns with the traveling demands of America. I don't know. And then hopefully next season we'll see the benefits. But I think this season it's going to be injuries as it has been, and it's going to be ongoing issues. So we just have to hold that. And then obviously we move to my team. My team, Gusto thankfully seems like he's going to be here. It was a touch and go. It seems like he's going to be available. So I'm going to go Petrovic in goal, as you see on the screen. Gusto at right back. I'm going to flip the centre-backs because the defence has been poor, to put it politely. So I'm going to go Trevor Chalobah next to Thiago Silva. Actually, is Trevor Chalobah even going to be available? I think he is, guys. I hope so. At this point, I can't keep up. If Trevor Chalobah is available, we're going to go Trevor Chalobah next to Thiago Silva. I'm going to leave Badiashile and Disasi out of this. Maybe bring them back in for Sheffield United. Left back, I've got Cucurella. I've got Caicedo and Enzo. Gallagher's going to play in the 10 again because Chukwuemeka's not available, but more so a right-sided 8 and maybe a midfield 3. But I also think if Casemiro plays Gallagher, and I know I said this for Burnley, but Gallagher should be able to harass Casemiro, who doesn't have the most expansive passing range, and try and get amongst him and try and stop him from being able to help Man United play out from the back. Obviously, Kobe Mino's probably going to be alongside him. He's very press resistant, but I want Gallagher to be on Caicedo, like literally harass that man. And then, of course, Mudryk, Palmer, Jackson, front 3. Still leaving Sterling out, give Mudryk a run of games. Don't think we have too many options outside of that. I mean, outside of bringing in Sterling, maybe Madueke, Washington's not going to play. It's not going to happen. We don't have any other midfielders. Cassidy's not going to start. Chilwell is not available. Badiashile and Disasi have not been very good. Not as a combo, not as individuals. And that's it. So we don't have much options. So I don't really think there's too much really that can go differently with that team, but we'll see how that goes. And finally, he said that he told the players they need to perform tomorrow. He says that they spoke a lot after drawing to Burnley and highlighted that we are Chelsea. We need to respect every opponent. That we do. That we do. And that is when he started to speak on we need to run. If you watch the Burnley game, you'll agree. And obviously on the ball, need to be better. So it's a long preview. It feels like very, very long preview. But a preview that needed to be done. Every single match, we are here regardless. And listen, we're not many points off positions that would make our season worthwhile. What I mean by that is we're not that many points away from 7th with the games in hand. My problem is that we just drew to Burnley at home against 10 men. If you can't beat them, you're not going to build up any consistency. Now, I hope we do. I would love to win this game. My prediction is a draw because I'm just going to be honest. I don't think we're going to win because we just drew to Burnley. But we seem to be really poor against United in general. But I'd love to win, of course. I'd love to win this game. I'd love to beat Sheffield. I'd love to go on a run. I just can't see it. For multiple reasons, we just can't seem to keep players fit. That's going to mess up the consistency of the side. And it's just an ongoing issue from there. So I'd love to be proven wrong. I'd love to be able to say that European qualification can happen because it's not like as if it's miles and miles away. If we win our games in hand, we're in the fight again. But we still got Arsenal. We got Tottenham. It's a long season. It's getting long. So take it one game at a time, people. Hopefully we can win this game. It's going to be an entertaining game with a lack of quality. That's how I kind of feel. Like, it's going to probably be goals. There'll probably be goals because both teams can't defend. But the quality won't be high, if that makes sense. I'm sure it does. Make sure you smash up the likes, guys. Make sure you subscribe. And I'll see you guys next time. Big up your damn selves. In a bit, people. Peace. We'll be right back.